Yeah, we got actually a good number of packages here. 2 arrived yesterday, 2 arrived today. Not everything that's shipping is here, but one of the things that's shipping is a DVD version of something that's in this pile. So let's not worry about that too much. Let's just get this opened. One thing I'm just being careful of, as usual, the receipts, which I've just taken off the side here. So you don't have to worry about that. This one, I do believe, I will actually be kind of careful opening this up slightly off screen, because this one is Hentai, which does have, you know, since they're shipped in the right place. This is Hentai Heaven Volume 7. 2 Fetish Freaks and the Psychic. Pantimonium, Nasty Thoughts, Dirty Deeds, and Cat Play Punishment. These sounds like fetishes, and that sounds like the Psychic. Okay, yeah. So, you know, another collection. And obviously the DVD version of that is coming. But, you probably, I don't actually... I'm trying to remember where the shipping even says it was. It'll arrive before the weekend, I think. Here's most of this week's stuff. Actually, that's the rest of this week's anime, and this one is not anime. This one is an Nintendo Switch title. Holy shit, I've got so many of these. But this is the Resident Evil Origins collection, which is pretty good. I don't have the GameCube versions of these, so, you know, having... you know, the Switch versions is kind of good. Especially that Resident Evil 1 remake. I don't know much about Resident Evil 0. It seems okay, but it seems the remake is where it's at. So, beginning here, we have Pokemon, the series, Sun and Moon, Ultra Adventures. Complete season. 48 episodes. Now that I process that, this does feel not super heavy, but interesting. No, they've been doing them in 2 parts, I think. So they're, you know, collecting them more and more together. But I guess this is notable as being the first Pokemon to come out on, the first Pokemon series to come out on Blu-ray. We've gotten our share of movies, including new movies. Power of One, The Power of Us. First 3, 4, 5, 6, I don't know, maybe 8, maybe 12 movies. Oh, so taking a look, it's Region A. Of course, it would be approximately 1,100 minutes. None of these say clean opening and ending. 6 discs, 48, 1080p, 16 English stereo audio, English. SDH. Might be subtitles. I don't know. Oh. So let's just start taking a look. Because I think they mostly show the same thing. But, you know, Pokemon. We got 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 9. Oh wait, that's actually 6. Which does seem to be twice as many discs as usual. Meanwhile, here in the Blu-ray version, we have infinitely times more discs than usual because we never had a Blu-ray TV series release. But that's right, this is vid, so it's probably the same 6 discs, 5 and 6, except of course the detail on the video is probably better. But that's the way Viz rolls. Next up, we have Katana Maidens, which includes 2 exclusive art cards and a Funimation digital copy. And katana-wielding girls. that looks a little dangerous. So let's begin by peeking under here to see if we have any smexy foreheads. And she is covered, if that makes a difference. Let's see if we got any sexy chests. We do have a cute little creature thingy, which you'd think I'd know how to describe the name of better, but well, that sticker's not agreeing with me. And we have experience the action with Uncut Content, which I believe is what the first season said. Regions AB, which means it could be imported to region B'ers. English and Japanese audio, which means it has an English dub as expected. This is Blu-ray only. Textless opening song, textless closing song. I don't know where this lies on the list in terms of motivations to watch anything, period. I don't feel motivated, but I should, because I have all this stuff in order to watch it. So first things first, take all these and set that aside. And there's two of these, right? So is this... yeah, there we go. Cute! But they're stickers, so I don't want to use them up until I really need them. It's like playing a video game. Disc 1, Disc 2. You have to save all those potions for the final boss, but then too many of the potions just don't heal enough to be worth it. And you only have to use like 1 or 2 out of the 100 you saved of the big ones. Anyways, next up we got this interesting looking one, Sagrada Reset Complete Collection. Kind of refreshing looking design. What are we looking at? If you could turn back time. Ominous. Audio, Japanese with English subtitles, region A, all 24 episodes. Interesting. That's 600 minutes, so that is... why am I having trouble doing the math? Well, actually, if it's 25 minutes an episode, then that's 24 episodes. And if I could open this up, it did say 24 episodes. Why am I having so much trouble thinking about what I need to do? Because what I need to do is I need to grab this and just jam it in there. There we go. Don't need to save that. We're just gonna go right in and take a peek and say, I don't know much about this anime. There's disc 3 and disc 2. But it looks kind of neat. And then last but not least, we have Gale Online, Sword Art Online Alternative, Volume 2, starring 2 lollies. Because, none of the other characters are important enough to put on there. Just the 2 lolly characters. That's all you care about. And, oh, whoa, okay. So this, I don't remember this detaching from the other one. But it doesn't seem unfamiliar either. I just don't remember this stuff. Okay, so then we got that and that. So if we go inside, we have a card game with the thing. It's got a 2000. That's an entire 2 of thousands. Fate. Let's turn this upside down so that we can take a peek at these cards that I'm going to be lazy and not look at because I have to take them out of the plastic in this booklet. Using the same art as what they have on there, just in case you didn't get a good enough look at this lolly. Characters and art, which is kind of cool. And then last but not least, the discs themselves, which are just 2 Blu-ray discs. That's minimum of what you can ask for. I guess you could ask for this to probably be more affordable, because given that this is Aniplex, it probably costs a lot, but I don't remember. Anyways, here's this week's anime DVD collection update. Huh, okay, yeah, okay. No, I gotta talk about that too. Okay. But first of all, anime stuff. I did watch 3 episodes of Naruto Shippuden DVD set 37. Which kind of is a pretty good indication just how low energy I am. But I am watching this with my friend. And I guess he's fine with being low energy too. Or he's dragged down by me, but, you know, we figure out whatever. But, what can I say about them? It does feel like there's some major plot elements definitely being wrapped up here. It has that feeling. It has a feeling like there's some stuff which you could almost feel like the series was trying to lead up to, but at the same time, you know, just given how much of a random mishmash Naruto is up to here, there's some elements that feel a little underdeveloped. I think a really good example is they want to emphasize the team, whatever team Naruto was on at the very beginning of Naruto stuff, but of course, with the way the series has developed, Sakura almost feels out of place. They managed to still do valuable things with her, but at the same time, it almost feels like contradicting long-term plans for the series, which tends to feel like, okay, there wasn't really a long-term plan for the series. There was just a kind of general idea that gained purpose as it went. And of course, the existence of the Boruto series kind of feels like it's a side effect of that. Not that any of that's necessarily, oh, this is so horrible, it can't be watched. It's just, you know, one of those weaknesses it has, but to the strengths, it does kind of feel like it is doing something that is thematically starting to wrap up and feel like it could be an ending to the series, which is my understanding that it is there or pretty close to there. In fact, what episode does this go up to? 486? And it's like, what, 500 episodes in Shippuden, and the next 14 are kind of not in the manga and are kind of side story-ish sort of stuff, which would be DVD set 38, which, you know, I'll probably watch even if my friend doesn't, because I think for him, as interesting as it's been to experience Naruto's ups and downs, it feels like we don't have enough time for all the stuff we do. And this doesn't include the do that we do. But, you know, 3 episodes is something, right? Which is also how many episodes of this that I watched when I'll be straight. And it's interesting. Like, okay, first of all, there's something really weird about this cover, especially the way they look. It's just like, that feels real weird. I'm having trouble placing exactly what it is. Like, kind of, it feels like the way it's drawn has kind of Yuri undertones, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like it has that kind of energy, which I've seen little itty bitty hints of in the 3 episodes I've watched, but I don't think that's the intention. I'm having trouble feeling super drawn in per se, and I don't think that's this series so much as I've just been tired and scatterbrained for the past couple of weeks or month or something. But content-wise, it kind of feels like it's set up where our main character is this weird, quirky oddball in a slightly more cynical version of our universe, where the cynicalism is basically more along the lines of there's not as many kids, so kids won't be kids, and they're kind of more just a lot of them are just going to school just to kind of get over with. Many are working jobs and not going to clubs, and it's one of those things where I don't know if it's necessarily saying those are bad, or maybe it's kind of leaning on a sense of nostalgia and the feeling of that stuff being lost, maybe. But then our main character shows up and she's excited and she wants to participate. And it's interesting because her ideas are actually kind of interesting and inspiring, even if sometimes it feels border on the edge of maybe not being. It makes me think that the series is interesting optimism-wise, and it kind of... It's hard to really say what that exactly means about it, because beyond episode 3, I know where it wants to go after this. I don't know if it plans to go that way for the entirety of the rest of the series after that, but I don't know. It's had its moments. The dodgeball stuff, especially with I'm going to call her Bossy Girl. She's not really bossy so much as she's more of a... I don't know, maybe bossy is the right word. I was going to say a know-it-all who usually keeps to herself, but once she opens up, she will tell you how you're supposed to do things. But I guess the thing to understand is, even though she's bossy, she does give a lot of really good information here and there, which is kind of interesting because, you know, it's kind of more of a lack of concern for how that information is absorbed, per se, which usually comes from the perspective of, again, thinking you're self-important and that it's more important that people know that you're saying it or something. And she doesn't quite come off as that negatively portrayed per se, but she does come off as, you know, just saying stuff. And with the dodgeball stuff, it was actually kind of humorously done. I think that was the third episode. It's hard to remember because I might have gone paused in the middle of episodes and resumed like a day or two later for some stuff. Like, my ability to focus is a little that distracted. So, if there's one thing I have to tell you about this anime that's definitely very dangerous, you have to be careful of the next episode previews because it has a catchiness to it that really makes you want to fire up the next episode. Like, I don't mean like what it shows you is going to happen in the next episode. I just mean like the way it portrays it. You remember, if you've ever seen an angry video game nerd episode about Battletoads for the NES and that pause music? It's got something like that going for it, but more of a continuing to move forward. We're going on to the next episode, and it's got this interesting stylized way of displaying things, which doesn't make you feel like you've actually been told what will happen in that episode, but instead like it's being prepared for you. You must watch it. Very interesting series. Let's see. I also played Another World. I think I mentioned last time, you know, being a little worried having received it because I knew there were some parts of the game which are actually maybe a lot more of the game where you kind of have to worry about the charge of your weapon, but I can't help but think that that stuff is intentionally set up such that you can't really get stuck. You have the ability to go to recharge stations and recharge, and if you die, you get put back at a place and you've got plenty of gun ammo for whatever the game is expecting you to need to do. It doesn't take too long to get through per se. I already had a very rough idea of how to do everything in the game, but just never played through it and thus never had a good map of everything in the game. A lot of the parts are shorter than what I remember, and a lot of the stuff that I remember actually comes from old what are they called? Guides, game guides that I read as a kid. Instead of playing some of these games, sometimes I could read about hints about how to play them. And there would be all these interesting things. And Another World, I think, was one of those where if you're not playing through it and you're reading through a guide, sometimes you can get this impression that the game is a lot bigger than it actually is. And this game, you know, it's a neat little story is what I would call it. Although I've always had a problem with it where it kind of feels a little incomplete. But fortunately, you know, it's smart enough to know, okay, I need to spawn the player back here because there's something that they forgot to do that they need to do later. And sometimes it takes you a while to figure that out. There were two places where I had to look up what I needed to do. because I was a little stumped, but everything else was pretty straightforward. I played on the very easy difficulty, which might have made a big difference. And overall, it was nice to revisit it. I'm not sure if I would want to revisit it again to hear it with the old music that I remember hearing. There wasn't a whole lot of it in there in the first place, but it could be interesting. Overall, I'm glad I finally went through it. And then I was trying to remember while sitting here what else I watched. I'm like, oh yeah, I watched Lego Movie 2, the second part. And it was neat. Okay, so I told my friend that the worst case is that Lego Movie 2 Part 2 would just have a stupid idea but would still just be a fun movie. Which kind of explains like Lego Batman and Lego Ninjago, kind of. Like, the Lego Batman one is just, okay, this is Batman and he's Lego, and now we're just gonna all accept the fact that we fucking worship him and he's awesome, and the movie's almost kind of based on that premise, and its main story is just, oh, well, he's, Bruce Wayne is lonely. And that aspect of it is actually shallow, but the movie knows it is. And because of that, the Lego Batman movie is able to just say, okay, yeah, we know that's shallow, that's just a thread to connect everything together, but we're going to make the entire journey fun. That's what you're going to enjoy. Lego Ninjago movie played around with a couple of interesting twists and kind of had this simple idea of, I don't know how to explain that one without saying more than I really think I want to right now, so let's just say I think that one's maybe a little more complex than Lego Batman movie, but it seems to be more of something to kind of tie the threads together, and it's more about enjoying what it does, and that one was kind of fun. So, where does Lego Movie 2 the second part, come in? It was a little hard for me to say at first, because it was definitely fun, and I really liked a lot of elements of it. I'm trying to think of what I can talk about without actually spoiling certain fun things about it. But let's see. There were a lot of really clever ideas, because okay, so where that lies on the spectrum of thing is the Lego Movie is the Lego Movie. If you had to watch one movie and it was about Legos, the Lego Movie is the Lego Movie. It encapsulates what it means to grow up with Legos, to use Legos, to play with Legos, and that is this dual problem of, oh my god, I want to build that awesome set they have, versus, okay, I just want to build a spaceship out of bricks that looks like something a unicorn puked up. You know, Lego, that's what Legos is. It's those two things, and you'll always see people who, you know, do one thing magnificently. They build something that is like a super huge, grandiose model that looks perfect and, you know, could be preserved for eternity. And then you have another one where you just got together with your kids and you put together a Lego castle, and then a Tyrannosaurus Rex kind of destroyed a wall or something like that. The Lego Movie encapsulates that idea in its theming and its story, etc. So Lego Movie 2 Part 2 is kind of a good offshoot of that, which kind of gives it more meaning than Lego Batman movie and Lego Ninjago movie, but at the same time I wasn't quite sure if I felt the theming as strongly as the Lego Movie. So the Lego Movie Part 2 is pretty much about living in a household where your siblings also use Legos. And it encompasses a lot of the ideas in there in terms of, you know, pieces disappearing permanently to the other room, and people, you know, trying to make interactions happen that don't make sense, and, you know, the advertising being different between different generations, and the ideas being different between the generations, and things like that. And I think you get that idea pretty early on with it. But okay, so some of the issue of me processing it was I wanted to know where in that hierarchy it felt, and I felt it was thematically closer to a Lego movie, the Lego movie, because it's another important part of it, but it's not really the thing that you as an individual going in there to Legos thought about. It's more like a slightly bigger version of that, what it mean to grow up in a household like that, if you kind of understand what I'm saying. And as for the contents of the movie, I wasn't quite sure at first. It had a good Lego feel to it, and then it was fun. I'm not sure if story-wise I would call it I guess it doesn't. It kind of feels like it's set up to have that hero's journey feel to it, but it feels like it intentionally tripped and stumbled at some point. And I don't know if I can elaborate because I would need to really talk about some of the spoilerific details of it to try and iron these thoughts out. So it pretty much means that it's one of the less straightforward stories per se, although it is pretty straightforward. It's just harder to process, I guess. But in terms of everything it does in order to do that, to go there, it is fun. It is, the Lego movies are nothing if not consistently fun from beginning to end whenever you watch them. You may see a scene where it's like, here's just Batman fighting the Joker, but of course, they're going to make it fun by introducing absolutely every villain Batman has ever had, including the ones that remained comical in their comic adaptation form, which isn't to be confused, because not every villain has stayed the same or kind of been relegated to obscurity. So Mr. Freeze was originally kind of a joke character, I think. When they brought him back for Batman the Animated Series, people were like, holy shit, this new incarnation is the best thing ever. And, a lot of the elements of Batman kind of get, changed over time because of that. And I'm just really trailing off. Look at that time. Time's just flowing. So, that's stuff. I guess you could say that the Lego Movie 2 Part 2, or the second part, that one was probably the highlight of all the stuff mentioned here. Naruto was actually pretty good. Monopoly Straight was actually very thought-provoking. What was the other thing? Another World. It was actually really nice to revisit that. But I don't know. Since I've got Gale Online thing, I'm probably going to put that on next. But I've told my friend that because we keep putting off My Hero Academia, especially the feature film, I'm probably going to try and watch those without them, because I can just watch them with him again, I think. And I'll figure that out. Anyways, that's all the stuff. I guess I can't think of anything else to really mention. So, y'all, have a nice week.